like a fire up in this
We're
bitch.
gonna get the Facebook Live going. Hello, loves. The Facebook Live is getting ready. It is preparing for us. So hello to everyone who is joining live or on the replay. I am so excited for this client success story with my beautiful soul sister and friend and client, Leidy. She is absolutely incredible. I've been blessed to know her from the erotic blueprint world. So way back when, I think 2019, we started connecting, and then we both felt called to joining Jaya's like deep dive mentorship together. So we were in that container for 2 years, and I had the pleasure of witnessing you become a mom during that time and celebrate your wins and grow as a coach and grow as a beautiful human and soul in this world. So I love that our souls have such similar missions and visions in this world, and it's been such a pleasure knowing you, and I'm so excited that other people get to know you too as well. So I'm gonna share your official title and get that up on my screen. So you are a sex and life coach who deliciously supports singles and couples create and sustain long-term passionate relationships that make them feel alive, connected, and empowered. And she helps women that to have the best sex of their lives. So thank you so much for being with us today, Leidy. How are you doing?
I am doing great, and I am so happy to be here, and I'm so happy that we met
Me too.
and that our relationship has evolved in ways I could have never expected, but I'm
Yeah.
really grateful and happy for.
Yes, me too. So for anyone who's brand new to you, do you want to share a bit more about who you are, who you be in the world?
So I think that introduction, puts it in a little bit of the what people put in a
In
in
a
a
nutshell
little
for you?
in a nutshell. But of course, we're humans, and there's so many parts of us that come out. So I really just want to help people find the best version of themselves and to feel fully self-expressed. And I'm a big fan of the raw and real. You know that I think we connect in that point. So I always initially advertised myself as a sex, intimacy, and life coach, but I feel that, everything is holistic. So I feel that I help humans with every part of their life. And just sex and intimacy seems to be the juiciest doorway to that. Just so we're really showing up as the most powerful and fucking delicious version of ourselves.
Yeah. I love that so much. Makes my heart happy. It's like the world needs this work so much, and sometimes having the like hot sexy red door is the like easiest avenue for people to be like, I want support with this. And also all these other things. I totally get that too.
I mean, it's the hottest door ever, but
so good. So in this celebratory call, we're celebrating your 10K sale.
boom, boom,
And
boom.
sharing about the program that you ran with me, the 6-week, and then it like expanded into an 8-week because there was just so much momentum going. And I was like, the energy's saying it, my intuition's calling us to expand. So we all did. And that was the Aligning and Healing to Pleasurable High Ticket Sales Program. So do you want to share a little bit about where you were at before joining the program? Any fears you had going into the program? And then we'll kind of do the during after flow.
Yeah. So right before the program, I was in a bit of a burnout moment. I had been going really hard. I'm really good. I brag at volume. I can put out a lot of volume in terms of action. So I had done all the things and showed up, I was like, show up and do lots of action. And I'm glad that I did that, but it also took a toll on me. And as you said, I had just become a new mom. So I was a little bit like, okay, I'm going to just take a few months off, which came out of a call that you and I had.
It did. It's like honor
later.
the rest. Yeah, I was so proud of you for like actually honoring that time. That was like, go inward, rest.
I was on the rejection call, which eventually led me to wanting to join your program. I forgot about that for a moment.
Yes.
So it was a bit of giving myself space, in that call. You had also recommended that I did take breaks. So I was allowing myself to take a break. And I had renewed like a previous client, and that was flowing, but I hadn't really attracted fresh new energy to align with this new human that I'm going to say becoming, not that I became, because it's a life process still going on. So I hadn't found that juice to really attract my next soulmate client. And so I was in that kind of mood, and I was tired of the masculine form of action, right? Just do. And I think I was very attracted to a more like a softer approach to attracting my clients. So I definitely went in there wanting something more feminine, softer. And I'm using the word feminine. It doesn't have to be about gender, just a different energy. We think of yin and yang, just the opposite of what I had been doing, which felt very like go. And I did have my reservations. I had never heard of a theta healer. I didn't know what that was. I also thought, what could possibly happen in 6 weeks? So, a part of my brain was like, well, maybe this is not going to work. But I knew that I just needed community and support, even if it was for accountability or just to show up on a weekly call. I just needed to be around people that were doing something inspirational for themselves and their businesses. So that's where I was when I joined the program, kind of like trying to come out of the cocoon, but not really wanting to do what I had done before.
Yeah, I love that. And I had like also kind of forgotten about our rejection call. I'm like, we had like been on a call, and I'm like, right, it was a rejection call. So anyone listening in the like visible as fuck community, there's these like cycles that go through where people are like, I want to be on a rejection call, like give me your sacred no, I want to hear no, and like regulate my nervous system to no's. So that's been a really fun thing to play with along my journey, is like actively going to friends and being like, I'm going to do a practice sales call or a specific rejection call where you're 100% going to say no regardless of what I'm selling you, and like breathe into that energy of like, I'm going into this call and it's going to be a no, and like see all the stuff that comes up. So anyone watching this who's like, I want to like have an actionable step moving forward, I invite you to try a rejection call and like have that energy and be like, hey, human in your world that you love, or a friend or a business bestie, or just like put it out to your Facebook page for a rejection call. It's like so interesting, the stuff that can come up around it, and then how healing and expansive it can be to like hold people's sacred no's and like have that be the intention of the energy. So I love that you brought that up about the rejection call energy, for sure.
Well, you blew me away in that call, and I had no pressure to say yes.
Yeah.
So it took all the pressure off. But when you actually gave me the session, and I know we were like kidding right before, we're like, oh, but you're going to say no anyway. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I also gave myself permission to bring you my stuff fully. And I left that call thinking like, hire this woman.
I love that. So good. Oh my gosh, I love that. And I also love that you brought up the like masculine energy piece, and we're just going to use the masculine energy to be like the go, the push, the heavy energy, the more exhausting energy. Like I totally felt that was what you've been trained in and what had brought you success before. And it wasn't the energy that your like new motherhood self was desiring. Like you have so much energy going into yourself and your new baby, and that's huge. It is so huge. So like giving yourself the space to like surrender and relax and play with more of the feminine of those surrendered, having a fuller cup for yourself, allowing things to just come to you, like the ease, like those pieces were so fun to like bring to the container. And I love doing that in all of my containers, having the mixture, the harmony that people get to decide for themselves. Like, what's the harmony of masculine, feminine energy that you're playing with in this moment or this season or this minute of today? Like, it gets to shift and change, and you get to play with it for what feels good for you.
Yeah, totally. And it's also very scary because there's a comfort zone to what we're used to, to what's normal or what we always do. And it's hard to lean back and surrender. So yeah, I was going for it, and it was also very scary to be in a space where it's like
Yeah.
and needed for me, for my soul, you know, for my new relationship with my son as a mom. It's just less is more, less is more.
Oh my gosh, yes. Simple feels like so important for entrepreneurs, and sometimes it gets overly complicated, especially if we like see what everyone else is doing and like what worked for them and them and them and them, and they're all separate souls and they could have a simple plan for themselves. But if you're creating a story in your head about like, I have to do all this and post every day and do all these things, it's like it can become very complicated for entrepreneurs. So like simple and flow can be so beneficial and really impactful in our businesses.
Yeah, it creates space, you know, and I feel with motherhood sometimes just like I'm choking and I just need a little breathing room. So I needed my business to have that breathing room while I was learning to find that in motherhood, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And I also loved your raw and real of being like, I've never done theta healing before and I don't know what it is. And like that was on one of our like early on calls that you're like, it can be this easy. Like it really can. I'm like, I swear to God, it's like changed my life infinitely over and over and over. And I wouldn't lie to you about that. And then like all the other soul sisters in our container who've like massively healed from theta healing, grown their business from theta healing, like all pitched in of like giving you the proof that like this works. It's so fucking awesome. It can shift your whole reality. Like it's literally going into our subconscious mind, clearing out that old story or pattern or lens or limiting belief or block, whatever you want to call it, that's like holding you back, and just it doesn't exist anymore, which makes everything so much more easeful and effortless and like effective in your business when you're not butting heads against an old identity that's like it has to be hard, or I have to like put in XYZ hours in order to get this kind of result.
Yeah, that's hard, man, to surrender into that ease. And I remember surrendering to it and also having a little bit of the astral part of my brain, like we said in our last call, like fighting for its life to like, no, it has to be hard. It's not real if it's not hard. So it's been a constant relationship with my brain of like, okay, calm down. We're just doing things a little different. So it's been great. And also it's been a struggle.
I hear that. And for anyone who's like listening, who has the same piece going on, it's like, it can also be really hard for us to admit that there's an easier path, because it's like, look at all the things you sacrificed going on the hard path, the struggle bus, all the things here. So a big shift in your mindset has to be like, I can forgive myself for not knowing what I didn't know when I didn't know it, and choose this now. Like one thing that popped into my brain when you were saying that is like, it was a big shift getting doctors to wash their hands from touching a dead body or an infectious disease to babies, because then they had to wrap their heads around, we've been killing babies by not washing our hands. And the simple practice of washing their hands would have infant mortality rates up like, or I'm like, is infant mortality good or bad? Anyway, it would have more babies living healthy and good. And it was so interesting to like hear those stories about people having difficulty with their mindset shifts, but then we get to be like really compassionate to our human parts or our human egos that are like, this has been who I've called myself, this has been the identity that I've formed to, this has been in the communities that I've belonged to and been a part of. So what's it look like if I shift over here to it being more easeful? Not easy. We're not saying that like you get $1 million doing absolutely nothing, manifesting on your couch and having 2 orgasms a day. Like that's not what we're saying. You have to show up and do work, and it gets to be simple and easeful and aligned to you, like your unique inspired action step.
Yeah, I got goosebumps you saying forgive yourself. I think that was a big piece, and just the meaning that we attach to our previous actions. So it's a lot of inner work.
It is. I'm like, we could even do a download to like ground that piece in. So do you want to know what it looks like and feels like to allow yourself that freedom from forgiveness? That you know what it looks like and feels like for your higher power to mark those old lessons around the struggle bus, the hardships, the heavy of hyper masculine energy, that we can clear, release, and let go of those on all levels and all timelines and dimensions, and allow you choice and free will to move forward, making a decision that's in your highest alignment now. And if you would like that, you can say yes. Yeah, that's feeling much lighter.
Mm.
I also love the group energy because it gives you humans who are choosing that together. So it's not like, oh, well, these are all my communities that just like push really hard and do posts every single day or do lives every day for a certain amount of time, like go through and like, it's awesome to challenge yourself and it's awesome to be a part of those things. And if it's not in alignment, you can like immediately surround yourself with other humans who are going, okay, inward. What's my next best step, and following that. And then you get to have that normalized in the community that like we tune in, we go inward, we choose to be like, what's my highest and best good next step? What's actually supportive for myself and my business, instead of a XYZ other thing that you would have done in the past just because a more successful coach said to do it or coached you to do it or gave you that plan, and that plan might have been right for you at that time, but it might not be right for you now. Like there's so many different things. So I love the community aspect of like you're immediately put in with other humans doing similar things, or at least trying it on. Like a 6 or 8 week container, you can just try it on. It's a hat. You can be like, okay, I'm going to do this sprint, see how it feels. And if it doesn't, I'll just let it go. So like, it can be that easy.
I think that was, I think that was one of the big parts. It's like, okay, this is not that expensive. I can try this out. You know, I can get a lot of benefit from it, but it's not this huge leap. So it also felt very doable, considering that I was testing something new. So that also that created flexibility. And to be honest, if I'm really going to go into the raw and real, you had an option for a 1-year payment plan, and that actually was the game changer. Like, all right, yeah, I can do $88 a month, you know, to try this on. So I think that was the big, I've never told you that, but that was the decision making.
I love that. And like, I love extended payment plans. Like that's worked so well in my business because it's like wherever you're at, whatever makes like the most amount of sense cash flow wise for you, you get to choose. And I've had like, knock on wood, really great success with like all of my clients actually moving through that and flowing with that. Maybe like twice since 2017 when I started my business full time, I've had people that like need to renegotiate, but like 100% of my people pay. So I'm like so grateful for that. And it's like that works for me. So if you're listening and you've been like curious, I totally started doing extended payment plans that were just like a little bit more out of the container. And then I was like, okay, that works and people are paying and let's do it a little bit more. And I've also had people who are like, I want to start at your most extended payment plan, but as soon as I make money, I'll pay you in full. So I've also had that where it's like they get a bunch of cash flow come in because they join my world, and then they're like, cool, we can cancel this and just like pay you in full right now.
Yeah, I think in a nutshell, Laura, you offer so much room, energetically, room to do less, room to pay longer, room to, you know, there was just a lot of room. So it felt easier to make those decisions and commitments with you because you gave a lot of space. It never felt like now this, you know, they didn't feel pushy. It was very spacious. I'm grateful for that.
Thank you. I love that reflection. I appreciate you for saying that.
Yeah.
And just for anyone who's watching on our sales page right now, if you go to the 3-month installment plan, within that, it has the 6-month or I believe the 12-month button in there. Like my VA has been like making things more streamlined because sometimes overwhelming things can happen on sales pages where it's like, I don't know, I have to like choose if I want to do this or not. And now I have to choose between form payment buttons here and stuff like that. So it's a simplified choice. It's like, are you a hell yes? Yay, when you know that you're a yes. Then you get to choose the pay in full button or the installment button, and then you can see the different installment choices that you get to choose from. So it's like useful and all there. Okay, so then joining the program, what was most beneficial for you? What supported you during the like 6 to 8 weeks we were together?
So I was in the program, but I was also watching you how you ran the program. And it's very important to me when it aligns if what you're saying you're doing. And I just noticed that you had really good boundaries and you were not showing up in a frantic action masculine mess. You know, we could be talking about softer and pleasure, but if I feel you that you're stressed and you're, you know, It doesn't always align. And I've worked with mentors that way, that
Yeah.
they're not really walking their talk. So I felt the biggest piece was the integrity that, you know, I think at one point, I don't know if you got sick or you had an accident, and you were like, you know, not really responding right away. And I was like, oh, I don't need to respond right away to people, and it's okay. And I actually started just really being more relaxed about the instant response. I was always like, okay, somebody messages me, I have to, like, you know, because I care and I want to show that I'm in it. And sometimes it would take a little bit for you to get back to me, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So integrity was number one. And I don't know if you want to say anything about that piece, and then I have another little piece I really like.
Yeah, I remember that because it was right after our program closed. So we did our next step call, and I showed up to the next step call. I like gave myself all the medicine and was like, I can totally do this. And then I had a massage appointment afterwards, and he's like, you still have a lot of swelling in your legs. Like, let's not push it and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, I work from home. I can sit on my couch and do things. Like, I can rest. And the program had just completed. So I was like, yeah, there was a number of you who wanted to like do next steps and have those conversations. And you all knew that I had just fallen about 5 feet off of a boulder at a height.
Yeah.
I came to the call, like, I think I like hadn't even showered that day. And I was like, it's not because I don't love you guys. It's because literally like I'm all bandaged up and like everything hurts and it's so hot and I don't want to be in a shower and it's not a good idea right now. So yeah, I remember that because like
real.
I was, like even pushing my own edges of like, it feels aligned, and I had the energy in the moment to show up for our like next steps call of like, that's how we literally co-created the next 6 month and 2 month options. So it felt really good to be in that energy. And then my body was just like, we need to cocoon. So I totally took several days getting back to different people about next steps, because I'm like, it's not going to be tomorrow. Like the program's not starting tomorrow. I don't need to get back to everyone immediately. And I love being a stand for that, because I remember being in the corporate world where it's like, if you didn't get back to someone within like minutes, they'd come over to your desk or give you a call. And I was just like hyper alert all the time about getting back to people then. And I was like, this isn't healthy. Like, it's not good. Like, people can wait 24 hours. And, you know, in the spiritual world, it's like different things are happening. You can get back to people when it's like you have a full cup, ideally overflowing, or like you're not in depletion mode trying to get back to people. That just like doesn't feel aligned to me to be like, I'm at negative and I'm going to try to be like, I can help you right now.
Yeah, but that's also ingrained in us. If you care about your business, if you care about your clients, you know, so it just gave me so much permission even to start shifting the way I had treated previous clients. You know, and just noticing, wow, there's some boundaries here that I haven't really put into place, and I didn't even think that I could.
Right.
So you like just open the door for like, we can create things very differently, especially as a mom. I need all that space. I cannot say this enough. If there's mothers watching, you know what I'm talking about. I need all that space. And that was huge. And I've made such a shift since then of just trusting. One, that you're also going to create space for other people, you know, and that is better to show up when you're feeling fuller. So
yes. I love that. And I believe Jaya was one of the people that got back, like helped me like reset my like brain on that, because I think that she set up a boundary at one point that she was going to get back to her like $1 million clients like once a week. And I was like, my VIP people get me like within 1 to 3 business days. I was like, wow, what would it be like if I just had one day that I was going to get back to people, and it could be a full week before they hear back from me. Like,
I
was just
and
like,
I think also you don't do weekends.
I don't do weekends now.
And you don't do weekends, which is another like, so yes, the program and the content were great, but you showing up in alignment with what you were teaching just really made me trust you. And it became really inspirational for me to just be like, fuck, I'd rather do it this way. And if it's working for Laura, then it could work for me as well, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And for anyone listening, like we're all good. My body's back to like 100%. So I'm not in like recovery mode anymore. I would not be doing a launch while also in healing mode. It's like those are two separate energies for me. So I was really grateful that it was summertime and I didn't have an immediate launch that I like had to start a new thing right tomorrow. So I had the spaciousness, which is what I teach in the program. It's like, how can you get high ticket sales so you can leverage your time so you can be like, okay, I have some people that I see twice a month or 3 times a month or whatever your kind of like frequency is that gets people results. And then you get to have free time, or then you can do low ticket, or then you can do a bunch of free things or work on your book or do pro bono or have a bunch of scholarship people. Like when you have this pillar of like high income sales in your business, you don't have to be stressed out about like, oh, I need the next $5 workshop to like pay me. Like it's way more easeful and so much better on your nervous system to be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
So much better.
And practicing trust, you know, that was part of the whole surrender practice. So
I love that you brought that piece in. Thank you.
And then another point is funny with the after our sessions, I would just feel better. And of course, again, my brain through the whole thing was like, we just say yes to the thing that, and that's it. Like it was just such a different form of coaching. I think I'm used to like, you know, your client tells you something and then you give reflections and like, but this was different. It was almost like you were just releasing things that were on us energetically. And I couldn't explain it and my brain fought it, but every time after the sessions, I would feel better and I would feel more space. And I was like, I can't fight that I'm actually feeling this. I was like, am I making this up? Is this like the placebo effect? I was always questioning it. But space was being created and I just decided to launch from a different space. So I wasn't posting every day and I just kind of trusted and I just did things very relaxed, like, well, you know, I'm just gonna do this. And then I got a client out of it and I was so surprised, to be honest. Because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna launching, but it's probably not gonna work because I'm, you know, tired, whatever, but I'm not doing enough. That was the lingering thought in my head. It's not enough. How can I launch and not every day advertise for the and it proved to be a really good decision to launch from a space of not having to do it every day, not having to be so aggressive, just kind of finding the rhythm, finding the flow.
I love that. And my brain's also like remembering you also had a block. And I know this has happened for other entrepreneurs who've gone into motherhood that are like, well, now that I'm a mom, I can't. And like their baby is kind of their subconscious's reason for why launches don't work, for why they don't have the energy. And it's like, as coaches, we are selling solutions. You're not selling that I'm going to be 20 to 10 high vibe excited 24/7 during a launch. Like that's not what people are buying because like, cool, your energy is great, but like that's not going to be the thing that gets them the results. And when you know your stuff, when you're an awesome coach, healer, service provider in whatever way, you can get people their results. That's what you're selling them. Not that I'm super high vibe and that I'm like not exhausted from being a mom all night long to a sick child. It's like you can have a successful business and put motherhood as a priority.
Yeah. And I have to be very honest, I am still processing that and still integrating that has been, I understand it. And I know you brought that piece and I know I had a little bit of resistance, but I still feel like I have training wheels as a mom. It's been, I think the other day somebody told me like, cause Zion is going to be 2 and she's like, you're not a new mom anymore. And I was like, dude, I feel like a new mom and that's all that matters. I feel very beginner at this. So I know some people have it all figured out, but this has been a huge transition for me, like humongous. So I am working on that. I think that has been the ongoing homework of just believing and allowing that I can do things with a baby, but they have to be done differently. It cannot be the same mode of operation that I did before or something that works for someone else. I think it's about really finding my unique way that I'm going to be a mom and a business owner.
Yes. I love that. And I'm sending so much love as you like become her. For anyone who's watching who's like know that motherhood is on the horizon, because I have a fair amount of like friends and coaching clients who have that space too. It's like also start before you get there by like putting your mindset into the belief systems that other people have. So for me, for the past couple of years, because I know that motherhood is a priority for me, and I'm like, that's definitely going to be a chapter that I'm moving towards like the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years of my life, like that is a priority. So I've started to follow more and more entrepreneurial moms who do go into motherhood, and it's like, okay, what do I love about that? What do I feel like that's not going to align with me? What type of support are they doing? What types of things are they doing? So like, honestly, a lot of the stuff in my business right now, I give so much value and so much content and have so many recordings of things because I desire to have those created into courses in the future when I'm like all this stuff. So I know that sometimes people are like questioning why people do certain things. Like in our last course, I did a lot of like 30-minute, 40-minute, like long lives. And it's like, I'm creating content right now because I have the time and space to. And then in the future, my team can like cut it up, use it for different things, repurpose it. Like that's one of my favorite things that team is doing for me right now is like they're repurposing content. So I do it once and then it's like shared to multiple platforms. It helps other people. It becomes gifts for people and freebies and literal courses. Like I've seen that in multiple other worlds where it's like they literally take a bunch of the stuff that they did and all these other programs or even their free stuff. And they're like, now all of these different things, instead of going out to a million different platforms and trying to find it through all the sifting of the years of content, it's like, here you go. Here's the pieces that you need. And it's a program. And I'm like, that is so smart. That's 100% what I'm doing because I want such a useful transition into motherhood. And I have the luxury now that I get to like plan ahead of time and I have that like in my brain. So anyone else who's seeing motherhood on the horizon, like I definitely encourage you to do that. And also another reason to join my new program because I'm giving so much value. Like I literally went live, I think a couple times for like 40 minutes for you.
I was impressed by that, you know, that I asked you like a question in our group and a 40-minute response, like I just felt showered with time and attention. And it was so detailed. And I think that's what I got also from our rejection call. You literally didn't miss a point. You addressed every single point, plus the ones that like rose from your witchy powers that were like, oh, and she saw that too. So I think your attention to detail and dedication to giving a feedback and response, it just felt really loving. Like it wasn't just like, oh, you know, a 3-4 minute response here on a 6-week program. I think you gave value of like a year program, to be honest.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. And like that's 100% my reflectorness. Like I can just see things that like other people haven't picked up on that you yourself are like, oh, that was there. Like I had no clue that that was there. So it's just so fun to be like, I'm a mirror. All of my centers are open and things that other people don't even know are their blocks. I'm like, that's the bright neon sign in the corner that no one's seeing that I'm just like, it's right there. We'll just clear that.
You caught me so many times.
Yeah.
You caught me. I was like, oh no, I don't want you to see that. No.
I love that because that's sometimes a thing in group programs that people have as objections. They're like, well, are you going to like actually see me? Like, will you see the stuff there? And I'm also very intentional that it's like, I have intimate containers. It's like once a group goes over 12, I'm going to put different pods in so that people still get the individualized attention, so that people can still have that feeling of being fully seen and fully heard and getting the individualized support that's going to be massively supportive.
Yeah, you saw me and I was intentionally hiding some parts. So just, you know, outing myself that I was like, I'm not going to bring this to here. And then you like, boom, smack me over the head with it. So thank you for catching my sneaky ways of self-sabotage.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Is there anything in particular you wanted to highlight in the program before we go into the celebration of your 10K sale?
No, I don't know. Yeah, I think I think those were the biggest points for now, and I can always come back if something else
Awesome. So super celebrating you and honoring you for your 10K sale. And I know we were also talking about some like raw and real with that. So I'll let you lead the charge and anything you feel called to share with anyone.
Yeah. So when you initially asked, to come and celebrate the client, so I had reservations because things had not really turned out as expected. And just last night I was thinking, how do I want to speak about this? And I feel like when people celebrate sales, it's like when you watch a fairy tale and they get married and it's the end, they live happily ever after, and you totally skip, but what happened in the relationship? How did they navigate difficulties? What happened when they had their first fight? What happened 7 years later when they're not having sex? Like, so when we celebrate, I got a 10K client, that doesn't necessarily mean that it was a perfect, nothing went wrong, nothing happened, there were no challenges. So I just really wanted to highlight, like, yes, one, giving myself permission to celebrate, and two, also celebrating that there were challenges and that I had to navigate, with payments or missing payments, or rearranging or negotiating timelines for payments. And I think that's not spoken about enough, right? And actually, I think there's even shame. And even I felt that, like, okay, yeah, but it wasn't perfect or it wasn't ideal. Can I talk about that? So just bringing a big both and to, yes, let's celebrate our sales. And also let's be raw and real that there's a marriage, right? Because we are in relationship with our clients. Yeah. There is the whole story of the marriage. And I am grateful for the lessons that I've learned with the difficulties. So I'm glad that things have come up, because I'm like, okay, so maybe I want to do different kinds of payment plans or use like a different method, and so it has taught me a lot on ways how I want to move differently. And also I'm glad that you encouraged me to celebrate it, because I think what could also happen is if things don't turn out perfect, then we eliminate them. So yeah, the both that. Yes, I sold it. Yeah, it it's good to celebrate that. And I navigated a lot of challenges with that brought lessons to me, and but also, brought some like, oh, this doesn't feel like this doesn't feel perfect. So
I love you, and I love the raw and real, because it's like that part doesn't often get talked about in the quick 2-minute read of a Facebook post or an Instagram live. It's like, it's just, this is what it is.
I sold it, right?
Right. And it's like, it's so important for me as well to be like authentic and to be like, this is actually how it showed up. And I've been super grateful in my world of the my corner of the internet that it's like, I've had people that always pay me. I've had clients who, again, sometimes need to renegotiate, but they always get paid. And like, from the accounting world, it's like, there's a portion of your accounts receivable that you just expect aren't going to get paid. It's like bad debts. It's like, that whatever percentage is currently there for your industry, or you can be a little bit higher than it or a little bit below, isn't going to actually come through. You just know that, okay, we have this amount of accounts receivable, probably get like that much. And it's like, that's normalized for business. So I love that we're bringing that into the coaching space, because that can happen as well, where it's like, you did extended payment plans and we're just going to factor in that we're not going to get them, which is why adding 10, 20 or more percent, depending on your risk level, is common for installment plans, because it's like, you're building in that buffer because you're now taking on the risk of being their creditor, essentially. Instead of them going to their bank or using their credit card, they're becoming like, okay, this is the Bank of Laura, so I'm taking on that level of risk. It's like, it pays off, and there's a time value to money. So you also want to get that as a business owner as well. If you're offering that, it's like, okay, instead of getting the pay in full all at once, or the payments all within the 2-month container or 3-month or whatever you're playing with, to be like, okay, I'm going to get it a little bit longer. So there's a risk in that, and there's a benefit that they're getting. So there's interest applied to those installment plans. So you get to choose wherever you're at on your journey, the level of risk you want to like play with. And it gets to be a play. It gets to be okay, I'm going to test this out and use it as information. Okay, that seems to work for me. I'll do more of it. Okay, that actually really doesn't work well for me. I'm not going to do that. So I love that you're bringing this piece in. And also because sometimes people will like hit the peak of like, I sold a thing, and then think the end, happily ever after, we're done. And that's why I'm like, we're going to sprint for those like 8 weeks for the 2-month container. And then we're going to like hold that expansion. Because some people, it's like, they had their first 9K sale. Cool. So we're going to like hold this expansion. We're going to like deal with the wobbliness. We're going to like be with whatever contraction happens, and then have this as your baseline moving forward, so that you can then expand again and have this as your new baseline, and have another person who misses a payment or wants to like talk about things or doesn't love the contract 3 months in or whatever happens. Like all these things can happen in relationship with our clients. So that's another reason why I love the like 6-month containers, because we have more space to like hold it, to deal with the things that come up after you make the sale. It's like, I always love doing masterclasses, and I'm like, I could talk about this for hours, which is why I offer deeper in like a 2-month program, which is why I offer deeper in the 6-month, which is why I offer deeper in VIP coaching. Like you can go deeper and deeper and deeper into all of these things. And I love the like, all of your things aren't going to be solved in 6 weeks. Doing a 6-week container isn't going to like fix your business on all levels and all timelines, on all aspects, on all like different separate parts. It's like, we focused specifically on high ticket sales. A lot of the people got awesome results from that. And then it's the next step. It's not happily ever after, we're going to close our eyes and shut our ears.
No, this happily
like,
ever
there's
after.
more healing, there's more growth, there's more expansion. And that's like the inspired action next step. So that was also really beautiful that you're like, let's talk about that, because it is so
No, and I do agree that a longer container then helps you. So I feel like this definitely gets you started, and you can get huge, and maybe that's what you're needing, or who knows. I think there's many ways, but just being really honest with the spectrum of everything, and in every relationship there's just different parts, and they're not right or wrong, but they create the whole, you know. So I just really wanted to, it's funny to have like, I've had info clients, or clients that do payment plans, they're fine, or clients that eventually, you know, need a little bit more time, that not everyone is the same. And I'm just inspired to share that even with you, I've had to renegotiate my payment plan, you know. So it was also a beautiful mirror. How do I treat a client who needs a little bit of grace, who needs a little bit of time? How did you treat me? Which was very amazing, and didn't feel pressured, and, you know, felt very understanding. So this sale has been a gift in so many ways, because it didn't go as expected.
Right. Yes. I love that. And it's like, we also get to choose in our businesses, like how people show up. So like if a client comes to me during the race period and is like, hey, I need an extra couple of weeks, I'm like, yeah, of course. Like that's easy. Like it can be useful. And another reason why I'm going to like drum all day long, all the time, why high ticket sales is awesome, because I have income stream coming in from other people. I can give someone a 2-week buffer, and it's not the end of the world for me. It's not like I'm biting my teeth trying to get my stuff paid. It's like having my stream flow to me allows me to give that space to other people. And for anyone who's wondering, like my contracts have a 2-week buffer, just like grace period in there. And then if you need a little bit of extra time and you come to me and you're like self-responsible and you're like, hey, letting you know that this is going to need extra space, of course, I don't mind another 2 weeks. No big deal.
Right.
Yeah. I love that. We get to like be the way showers for our clients. And I love how everything's been like showing up as a mirror for you. It's been really interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's been so deep. So this started out like, oh, I'm just doing like a 6-week program. And one, you decided to extend it, which was another way of you giving so much. It was such a gift. And then there's been so many things, you know, the embodiment piece takes time, and so many pieces are just settling in. So it's just been a beautiful experience that looked a lot smaller than what the actual experience was, you know. Some of the lessons that I think I've learned with you are just like lifelong lessons that you just, you know, it's not just like, oh, I got this. It's just like, all right, I'm getting good at this. And a little more practice, you know. Sometimes I'm rocking it, sometimes I'm not, and just being held on the journey.
Yeah, I love that. A quote that's coming to mind, I believe it's repetition is the mother of skill. I don't know if Tony Robbins says that or someone like that. It's like repetition is part of the process of like growing our businesses. So going deeper into the things, or being like, we're gonna circle this lesson at a different level of the spiral, or onion, if you want to do the more inward layer viewpoint, like you get to choose how you work with the energy, and you also get to control the speed of it. So sometimes people get really overwhelmed and they're like, oh my God, I'm like growing too fast, or all these things are happening. And it's also important, and this like piece is coming through for me to share, is like that you get to control the spigot on the tap. You get to, or if you want to play with like the energy of a dam and have a bunch of energy coming through at once, like you get to choose how much water you're letting through that. Like you get to co-create that with the universe, so that if you want to grow more, you're like, okay, I'm holding more right now. And if you're in a season of like, okay, we're going inward more, or I'm cocooning and I have a little less bandwidth, you can also choose that as well, to like be empowered with it, instead of, sometimes I hear people being like, the universe is testing me, or I'm like a victim to the universe's choices, and like as if it's happening from external things, forcing them to do things that don't feel good. And it's like, we're oneness energy, we're connected with it all. You can co-create with the energy, and that tends to like ground more power into people's nervous systems, that they're like, okay, I'm co-creating this, I'm one with it, I get to choose this, I'm co-creating this. It's like bringing the power back to you.
What is choosing to give effective meaning to what happens, and not labeling things that are just not correct. So you mentioned in one of the calls the compound effect. And sometimes I think we're looking like, okay, this 6-week program needs to get me this sale or this thing, and things build, you know, and it may not be in that 6-week moment. Maybe it happens a week later or a month later. So just also trusting, one, choosing the meaning, like this is all working, it's just building. Yeah, I lost my way there. I went, but
I love it. Yes, the
something landed there.
Is so true. And it's like, I can look back and see all the dots connecting of like why I was in this program, and then why I felt called to this mentor, and then why I did this program, and why I did the certification. Like hindsight's 2020. When we look back at our journey, we can totally be like, okay, this is why I was called to this here in this time. Like the pattern reveals itself on the other side. So the like trust piece is that we move forward in our inspired actions because our intuition's saying yes. And to move and flow with that, even if it feels scary to our humans, that we get to like do the inner work and do the healing and have all the things that we need to support the like parts of us that are resisting it or feeling like this is the obstacle, and being like, okay, the obstacle's the way, and I'm going to literally like move forward into this opportunity.
Yeah. And I think there's also, you know, an impatience, right? Like I've been a coach, I think, for now like 4 years. It's like, well, why haven't I like made it yet? Or why don't I have like 20 clients or like 100K packages? Or so there's also this kind of like why, and just trusting that things are building. I think that was a big, seems easy, and it's challenging to constantly just show up for that trust. That it may not be any particular program or mentor, but just you showing up consistently, repetition, and eventually you can see what you've been building, you know.
Okay, I also love that you just said I've been a coach for 4 years, because other people I notice will compare themselves to other people, and it's like, you're different people. It's like, you're a human, you had a baby in 9 months. Elephants take so much longer to have babies. I think it's like 2 years. Like pineapple plants take 2 years to create one pineapple. Like,
oh wow,
things take different times. So it's very interesting to me, and I do this too, like I'll catch my human doing it, that it's like, oh, because this person's been a coach for so long, or in business for so long, or whatever. Like I started being a coach in 2015. I started treating it like a job in 2016, 17, and went full-time in 2017, and have been full-time ever since. But like different people have different paths, they have different timelines. And I feel like that can be a sticking point as well. So we can even do a couple downloads on that. So do you want to know what it looks like and feels like through your higher power to align to your highest timeline, to trust your divine timing and the divine order of your life, to see more conscious opportunities that you can take action on, that you can move forward in, and that you know what your next best step is, that you know what it looks like and feels like to trust yourself even more deeply to move forward in your next best step, and to release and let go of all the self-doubt, inner criticism, and like quote unquote junk that's like been holding you back from doing that. And if you'd like that, you can say yes.
Yes.
And you want to know who you are and what your life looks like, having the identity of trusting your divine time, of being content with the divine time that you have chosen as the soul on this planet, and that you can also deepen your trust and patience along this journey. And if you like that, you can say yes.
Yes, that's a big one.
Beautiful. And then we can integrate those changes and fill you up with your higher powers, unconditional love, compassion, peace, and prosperity. And if you'd like that, you can say yes.
Yes.
And take some really deep, deep, deep cleansing breaths. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else from the program piece or anything that you wanted to share?
I think it feels complete. Maybe just one last, just to compliment what you just, the healing that you just offer is, you know, use comparison for your benefit. Like, oh, okay, that works. Let me take that, as opposed to using comparison for our detriment, to put ourselves down. And so if something works from this live, take it if it helps you move forward. But if it's going to make you depressed or feel bad about yourself, or like, why am I not doing it like this? Or I think that's when it gets really toxic. So just being picky with what we put in our system, in our thoughts, you know, when we are looking at another. Because I know even being in your program, like, but okay, she's been a coach for 6 years, but why am I not where she's at 4 years? Or, you know, so just really just having the boundary that only the good stuff, let it in. And I know that's easier said than done. But we watch so many lives and podcasts and things, and we watch other coaches, and, you know, and I think it's heavy to navigate it all. So just protect your sphere, you know, as much as you can with what comes in, because it has an impact.
Yes, I agree. Because it's like, you're not just going to put any food in your body if you have a specific outcome for your body. It's like, okay, I know for a fact that if I eat pizza, I'm not going to feel as great later on. It's like, if I'm going to like eat less pizza or choose to avoid pizza, it's like, okay, I know that having smoothies or drinking water, it feels really good in my body. It's like same thing for information, same thing for other people's stuff. So I love that you brought that piece up. Okay, awesome. So my final questions, what would you say to someone who's considering working with me?
I think I would say if it feels good, right? Definitely go for it. But if it feels scary, that could also be a sign that it may be time to go for it. Because sometimes we're like, oh, I'm gonna trust my intuition, or it's gonna feel right. And it didn't feel right. It was scary and I was nervous. So just knowing that it may not be an easy decision, it may not just flow, that sometimes we have to overcome the nervousness, or the not knowing, or the trying something different, like with the theta healing. So I'm glad I overcame that and stepped into your container, not being 100% like, okay, I'm in. It was like, oh, I mean, I don't know. And I think it was one of the best decisions I made this year.
Thank you so much for sharing. I love you brought in like the objection piece. So like you had objections that you like didn't really know what it was like, and the like theta healing and the more feminine energy, and also like the money was a thing. So any other objections that you had that you could speak
the 6th week was not going to be enough, you know? Yeah. And then when I got to the container, I must say, just it's like there were not other people that also looked like me, you know? So then I'm like in this very white container, and I was like, I should be with mentors that are Black, or, you know, whatever. And if I came down to the meat of it all, it didn't matter whether you were white or Black or whatever. You offer an amazing container, and it was so worth it.
Thank you so much for sharing. And like the time piece also stuck out to me, because other people were like, do I want to do a sprint? Like, do I want, because we had weekly calls in that, and it's like some people want that sprint energy, some people feel like overwhelmed by that. So like it's so interesting that different people have different perceptions. And a way that I'm working with that in this container is like, we have modules that are 90 minutes every other week. So it's like, they get to choose to ground into that and come to those. And the hot seat calls are optional. So it's like, if you have something to bring that you know that you want to get cleared, you get to come for the hour and get it cleared. And if you don't have to like come to that call or watch the recording. So that's like another thing that I'm doing, because I value my clients. I like really want to support them in the like size that feels best for them. And when we go to a restaurant, you can be like, I want small, medium, large. Like you get to choose those things.
Yeah.
So I really like to have that spaciousness, like you were talking about earlier, where people can choose what works for them, and also make sure that I'm cultivating the course in a way that they're going to get their results by what size they choose and what fits best for them. So if the 2-month is feeling like, yeah, I want to definitely do a taste tester, see how this is, do the same type of program that all of these awesome client success stories are coming from, they can do that. If they want to do a 6-month, because that's feeling super aligned and awesome for them, they can do that. So I love giving choice and like flowing with the opportunities, because also all of our clients' objections get to be our opportunities as well to like serve them better. So I love that piece too.
Sure. And you get to change your mind. So maybe you start wanting a sprint and then you want to slow down. And I think you hold that very well, just changing rhythms and navigating. So you don't have to do, it doesn't have to be the same thing throughout. I think one of the things that at least happened to me, and I'm changing every day. And I'm like trying to figure out like, what do I really believe and who do I really am, especially now as a mom. And there's so many shifts. And I think even feeling like that daily, I felt held in the program, so permission to change your mind on the rhythm that you want to follow. I think this is a good program for that as well.
Yes. I'm the same. I'm like, the universe meets us. Like the energy that we show up in, the universe meets us. So I show up like that as a coach and healer. It's like, if you're 10 out of 10 going and you want more homework and more things and more stuff, like I will give you more homework and tune in and clear more things and offer you another module to watch, so that you can like get more momentum if you're like at that energy. And if you're like here, I'll meet you here too. And if you're here one day, I'll meet you here too. Like you get to be met in my world, which always makes my heart happy.
I think that's the biggest. And I told you this in a message. I was like, well, you met me because I came thinking that things were going to be simple, whatever. And then so much unfolded and so much came out that I wasn't expecting, that I was trying to like, how am I going to bring that to that container? And you held it. You held it so beautifully, so I think you definitely have an ability or a superpower of meeting people where they're at, because a lot more happened than I was expecting in this program.
I hear you. And if people have been loving your energy and want to join your world, how can they connect with you after this live?
So you can message me, just DM me, Lady Diana, on Facebook. I also have Lady Diana Coaching page, and on Instagram is Lady Diana Coaching. And I offer really amazing free discovery calls, just to help you navigate, even making a decision, even knowing, do I want to work with a coach or not? Or, like our rejection call, you'll be surprised how much value you can get from a free call that you do not have to say yes to. So zero pressure to say yes, but if you're wanting support and you felt something here, I'm a believer of that energy, you're like, if you were leaning in a little bit, just DM me and I would love to spend 60 minutes with you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm sure we can also put the links below and put it in the email for the replay as well. So thank you so much for sharing your goodness. I appreciate you so deeply. And if anyone's listening and feeling called to the container that we're talking about, I have a new 2-month option and a 6-month option. So it's aligned, heart-centered, high-ticket success. So it's an evolution of the program that Leidy just did, and that Michelle and Lori and Nicola and like all the humans who just had awesome success that we've been doing these client success stories in. It's literally an evolution. Like that program was so amazing and so juicy. So you actually get as a bonus the live program that we just did with them, all the recordings, so you can instantly watch whatever you're called to. And we are in that container for 2 months together as kind of like that sprint energy. and an additional 4 months after. So you can join the 2-month if the 2-month is calling you, or if you're like brand new to my world and you're like, I'm not really sure about theta healing either, or I don't really know Laura that well, or whatever your thing is coming up as your objection, try the 2 months, see how that feels, get some success, and then choose to reinvest. And you can add on, kind of like upgrade into the 6-month after that. So you can add on those 4 months. Or if you're already someone who's in my world, who's an online client, who's worked with me before, who's like, I know that I need to be like held in a 6-month container and I'm like growing for the next 6 months, and that's your intention, join the 6-month. Like, you get to choose. And if you have any questions about that, if you're like, I'm not really sure if like this container is the best fit, or which one is actually the best fit, or if I should have some VIP upgrades in there or do private time with Laura, if you're confused at all, if you have questions, if you're just like wanting to get more clarity, I also am going to put a link to my pleasure and prosperity calls. Again, that's 60-minute sales call energy, where we get to like really, really tune into who you are, what pain points you have right now, what your desires are, gaps that are showing up in your business, that we can really get clear on like, what are your domino pieces? Like, I'm excellent at tuning into like, this is the big domino piece. It's going to make everything else more easeful or unnecessary once you like get that one handled, or we like clear this block, and then everything else is just going to fall into place. And we're also going to get you a personalized plan for moving forward. So if that is feeling like a yes to you, I'll be sure to put the link to book that in the comments and in the email replay as well, so you can have all access to all the things. So inviting you
book
to
the call. You're gonna get value just from the call. Book the call.
Thank you. I appreciate you for being like such an adamant fan and supporter and soul sister. I appreciate you. And
It's
also
real.
like,
It's real.
I also want to like class above the class, because you've talked about how much you've liked the class above the class. Like, for anyone who's watching, like, you get to have soul sister, soul sibling clients. Like, you get to have clients who cheer you on, who are raving fans, and like, you also get to be that. Like, for my coaches who get me awesome results, who I get return on investment in, like the coaches and practitioners and mentors that I absolutely love, I show up as like raving fans for them. I do client success stories for them. I show up in their container being like, I'm going to be your next testimonial on your next sales page. I'm going to be your next client success story or client case study, whatever version of words you want to put on it. Like, I choose to show up in this energy, and I get to attract clients who are like so incredible, and my heart absolutely loves an amazing energy with. So I'm very grateful for the relationship with you, Leidy, and for my other clients. And I just wanted to like also put that as a class above the class for anyone who's listening. Like, you get to have this too. You get to attract that in. And I've also had things along my journey where I've had to grow with clients, and like they've pushed my edges, and I've had to like really learn and grow, and like had those experiences too. So I just wanted to like normalize that. It's like, we get to grow as coaches and healers and practitioners, and it's always all worth it.
Totally. Forget the happily ever after. Let's go on the journey, the real journey, which could have a happily ever after, you know.
Yes. Yes, I love that. So good. My heart's so happy. Okay, so let's leave it on that note, and sending so much love to you, Leidy. Thank you so much for your time, for being on with us, for sharing your journey, and that it isn't this is the end, it's a journey. So thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Yeah, to be continued is what I like to say these days. To be continued.
To be continued. So sending everyone lots of love. Thank you for listening. I hope that you got value from it. If you desire to message either of us, you can do that. You can also share what you got from it. I always love reading that as well. So sending you all lots and lots of love. Bye.